really what to do there because, I mean, okay, it looks like our kilobytes are going back up here, looking at kind of the technical thing. Apologize for any technical difficulties we're having, but you might have to refresh everything. You might have to do whatever you need to do there. But kind of getting back to Denver and New York here for a moment. I mean, not really a whole lot to say about this game, to be honest. As I was kind of talking about, Denver looked okay. New York Giants, I mean, I don't expect a lot from them. I'm not really a big Danny Jones guy. I mean, I'm not really too sold on him. Talking to Andrew yesterday, he said he kept hearing things from, oh, this is the year the Giants take a step up.
No,
This is the year he's going to play like a good quarterback. It's like, not really.
well, the thing is with Daniel Jones is a bit of a weird is a bit weird is that he can play well in certain some there'll be a random few random games he'll just play really well, but most of the time he doesn't really play that great. Great, but it doesn't help. He doesn't have much to work around him. He doesn't have the best offensive line to work with. He has a few skill players. I mean, he has Saquon Barkley to keep pressure off of him, but they don't. Do they really have anything on defense?
Not really that I
So
can think of.
that's the problem. That's the thing. You just
Yeah. Speaking of another team that did not look that great on defense, that's mainly more due to the offensive, who we're going to talk about, the Rams. 34-14 over Chicago. Matt Stafford, his first game as a Ram, and he looked pretty good, I would say.
yeah. I mean, but
This looked like a Detroit team with weapons on it, which is exactly what the Lions fans have been asking for.
the thing is with that there was a lot of blown coverage with the Bears on defense. Wide receivers got wide open, and obviously a few of them resulted in major touchdowns, which made Stafford look really good. I mean, he only threw the ball 26 times.
Yep.
And he converted 20 of them, completed 20, not convert.
Yeah.
But Stafford looked great, and they got a bunch of there. I think they had many third and longs, and they converted them really easily.
Yeah.
Just a lot of problems with that Bears defense. I mean, I think there is a little bit of improvement with their offense. I mean, they don't have Trubisky anymore.
That
I know,
definitely is an improvement.
but I know Dalton had his. I know Dalton actually overall threw well. He had a pick here. He threw a pick, and just overall they couldn't really do anything
Yeah.
on offense as a whole. But Dalton wasn't bad. But
I'd still like to see Fields, though. I mean, I just want to see what he can do.
I know they brought Fields a couple of times in, but it was mainly just for like a play or two, and then he was out.
Yeah.
But not really much to work. I would like to see Fields play, but I think they're just not comfortable throwing him to the Wolves, and then he gets hurt.
I know, but that's what you have Andy Dalton for.
I know. Well, yeah, but yet Dalton has yet to get hurt.
Exactly.
But I really don't know. All I know is I expect Los Angeles to obviously ride more momentum, probably, and play well into next week. But we'll have to see when they play a team that actually can play defense.
And then getting to the last of the Sunday games, saving this one just for last because this is probably the one we're going to talk about the most. Cleveland goes into Arrowhead, has a great first half, and then Kansas City does what Kansas City does. They get a 33-29 win. This was a very good game. I'm not going to lie. This was a very intense game. As a Cleveland fan, it was, moral victories are something that are hard to come by at times, but to me at least, the fact we were able to really take it to the Chiefs after last year where it was kind of like, okay, oh boy, okay, we're getting beat by Chad Henne now. I can't believe this is actually happening. But being able to just kind of that first half, I mean, it was Cleveland just throwing blow after blow after blow.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a plan, they were sticking to it, and everything went well, I would say.
Offense for Chiefs wasn't really that effective, besides getting 10 points through that entire half. Weren't really able to do much. Obviously, Cleveland played very well.
I would say the moment Kansas City woke up was the Nick Chubb fumble.
Mm-hmm.
That absolutely was like the moment they woke up and were like, okay, this is
time to score.
Yeah, and then but Cleveland's defense held them to a field goal. Cleveland goes down, makes it 29-20. I was kind of, in my mind, I was thinking, is Cleveland actually going to be able to overcome this? I mean, this is a huge challenge for them.
One play later,
Yeah,
throws a 75-yard bomb to
yeah, and then
Hill.
Kansas City answers right back, and then okay, can we keep this going? We just proved we can score on them. You go 3 and out comes Gillen to punt, and then all chaos breaks loose. I mean, that's just you have one job to catch the ball and punt the ball, so you technically have two jobs. But how do you drop that? I mean,
it just one of the, it's like his first. It happened to be his first time actually out there today, and then he just makes a mental mistake. I think he was already thinking about kicking the ball before he even caught it.
I know, and I'm not saying like, oh, if we fumble it,
No.
we don't fumble it there. The Chiefs, don't score. Chiefs have they had all the momentum kind of riding at that point. It was just like, are the Browns going to be able to escape at this point? And
It was basically all about escaping out of Arrowhead with a win rather than going in there and like we're gonna pretty much dominate. But it was just like, can we just survive? Obviously, the mistake happened on the punt. Chiefs obviously one thing I didn't understand is that you drop the ball, but you at least try to kick it.
Yeah, but he just kind of ran around for a few minutes, like trying to save time for something.
It was like and I was just thinking, I'm like, why don't you just kick? You had time to at least possibly kick it, even if it doesn't go very far.
Even if it would have been like a 10-yard punt or something, that's better than losing 10 yards.
It was better than where he was because at least you get it when you at least kick it, at least maybe goes 20, 25 yards at the worst.
Yeah.
Maybe, but it depends on how much room he had. But he still had a shot to kick it. Instead, he chose to run with it, which was obviously a really bad decision for Cleveland. It definitely helped, obviously, because Chiefs would score very quickly right after that.
Yeah.
And there's really not much Cleveland could do.
Yeah, and then,
right after.
Cleveland gets the ball back. Baker throws an interception, which I don't know if that was an intentional interception. It looked to me like he was trying to think about, should I throw it out of bounds or should I throw it to him? And in like the 1 second he had to make that decision, he kind of tried to do both.
He also got, he was going down as he threw it.
Yeah, so there was like, I'm not going to put too much blame on him for that one because it was either, do you take the sack or do you throw it out of bounds? Do you try to force something? And he kind of had to do all three at the same time. And he still played a very good game.
Oh, yeah, he played. Besides that, right there at the very end, there's really nothing you can say bad about Baker Mayfield's performance. He played well. Yeah. Obviously, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt ran the ball effectively.
They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Mahomes was Mahomes. There's really nothing you can say was different about him that we haven't seen before. Once again, still hasn't thrown an interception in September.
And still has yet to lose so far.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill,
he's our
monster game too. I mean,
not to cut you off here, but in his first 50 games for as a starter, he broke an NFL record that was held by Dan Marino.
Yeah.
And obviously congratulations to Mahomes on that one. I'm very happy that he broke the record, but I'm just more glad to get that win.
Yeah, I mean, this was, for like I said, as a Browns fan, this was, obviously not what you want. You obviously don't want to ever blow a lead like you do, but considering they overcame Harrison getting ejected in the first quarter that was weak. That was absolutely ridiculous. There was no reason to eject him for that. He's just retaliating.
Well,
nothing should have happened there.
Actually, on the instant replay, the problem was the Cleveland player. He was stepping on a Chiefs player
on accident. He didn't mean to do it.
Yeah, but he did. Instead of trying to do his best to get off, he went back down on him again, which just to get in. Of course, coach pushed him because you're stepping on the player.
Yeah,
but yes, he retaliated.
He retaliated, which is a normal reaction.
But you're not. But the problem is you're not, obviously, because the coach is not suited up at all. He was just trying to get him off the player.
Exactly.
But obviously the Cleveland player didn't think it that way and immediately shoved him back.
Yeah.
It goes both ways. In many ways, it goes both ways. There could have been a better way to get him off the player, but the Chiefs players and other Cleveland players weren't really doing anything. So coach did what actually I think his perception was, hey, you're stepping on my guy.
Exactly.
Shoves
To
him.
me, it was just one big misunderstanding where no one knew. You can't predict what other people are gonna think.
I mean, looking at all of that, I didn't think much of the ejection mainly because it was like, wait, they ejected him. I mean, any other people have a different opinion on that, but it's just
my whole thing was if you're gonna eject one guy, eject both. I don't think either should have been ejected.
no.
I think that was just kind of silly. I don't think that changes the game or anything. I think that was just kind of one of those why. And then you had Tony Romo like he threw a punch. Like no, he didn't. I think
Tony
that was just he saw the angle of it and it was like, oh hey, this happened. It was kind of heat of the moment thing. But
I think Tony had the instant replays had some of the worst angles for that.
Yeah.
Though for me it was obvious that it was a push, not a punch.
Yeah, it was just one of those to me like we're really about to try to do this, aren't we? We're really going to we need to get that out of the game. It was like, what happened?
I will
That's
say
football.
Actually, this is like a bit of an interesting thing, though I'm not sure how true it is. It was either Schefter or it was either one of the sports media analyst guys that posted, or it was just a random person. Supposedly, there are 16-year-olds who have yet to see Cleveland go 1-0 to start the season.
Oh yeah, Cleveland has not gone 1-0, and I want to say I think they said since 2004 was the last time they won a home opener.
And that was actually
even a home opener, an opener. Let me rephrase that.
That was actually I think that's actually the first year. That was actually the start of a long drought where they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean it all kind of coincided for a while, but they're finally climbing out of that hole, and they look like conference contenders this year. They really do.
I expect them to be one of the better teams in the AFC easily. Like. There's no. To me. I know you still have Pittsburgh and Baltimore in that division, but I expect Cleveland to probably be the front runner.
Exactly.
For that. Like I just don't see how unless everything falls apart on offense or the defense decides, you know what, we're just not going to play for the rest of the season. It's like, well, okay, there goes your season. But I fully expect them to make it back to the playoffs. I just don't see how they don't.
Exactly.
Besides collapsing.
Exactly. And then the Monday night game, also a really entertaining game. Baltimore taking on Vegas, going to overtime. So we had 2 overtime games in week 1, which how often does that happen?
Not very.
I mean, Derek Carr throws for 435. Lamar Jackson ends up being the leading rusher of the game with 86. But I mean, this was a real back-and-forth affair. It's a really slow start, but once both offenses finally got clicking in the second half, boy, it was on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I personally watched the Manning coverage of the game with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning having several guests on during it. They brought Russell Wilson on, and he was supposed to leave, but they decided to keep him on since the game went to overtime. So it just turned into it pretty much felt like listening to a podcast with an NFL game on in the background. The fire alarm went off at one point in studio, so Peyton was yelling at Eli for turning on the fire alarm, which was literally impossible. But, that's just brothers being brothers. And they had Ray Lewis on. They had Travis Kelce on. They had a lot of great people on. I mean, it was fun getting to see, like, the insight, like, what they're thinking when they're reading a defense or, what the Manning brothers, hey, they're lined up like this. You should do this or this. And then Ray Lewis basically playing chess with them, like, well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do that. And so it was really neat seeing kind of the ins and outs of the game that aren't really talked about as much on a main broadcast as they're trying to appeal more to casual people.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing like the X's and O's and everything was really fun to listen to.
I will say with what I heard with the ESPN commentary, because, they always have an issue where, the commentary's bad. And,
yeah.
Man, the commentary from what I heard sounded pretty good. Like I didn't have any issues with.
Well, I think the other thing with that is they always try to promote a college football announcer up, and that just doesn't work.
No.
I mean, you tried Joe Tessitore, that didn't work. You tried Sean McDonough, that didn't work. Those are guys that are great for college, but not for the NFL. And not to say they're bad announcers or anything. They're obviously not.
There's just like a certain field where they're better at.
Yeah.
And because it's just like it's really like when they're more suitable for like ones that are because they've been doing college football for a long time. For them to just try to do professional, it's like just some commentators just do not work with, like you said, just don't work with professional uh, football or any
Exactly.
sport. That's the reason why like certain announcers, whether it be colored or play-by-play, like Brad Nessler and Brad Nessler for like your play-by-play and Dick Vitale, which are colored, they don't fit the style of NBA. They're more of college guys.
Exactly.
And it's just unfamiliar territory for other people to hear them on a professional broadcast. Well,
Yeah,
professional sports.
Like last year or the year before, when they did the Monday night doubleheader and they had Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit doing an NFL game.
Well, I like that duo a lot.
Yeah, that duo was great. It's just no, that just doesn't work for me for an NFL broadcast because, I hear that and I'm like, this is. Am I at the right thing? Am I watching the correct game?
Yeah, it's like because it's like while their analysis on the game was great as always. It's just one of those weird. It's like, why are you doing NFL? Go back to college, and not in a negative way. Just like you're better. You're just like I like you doing college games rather than doing NFL games.
Exactly.
That's just how I feel about it.
Speaking of college games, that'll be our Thursday show talking about the wild week in college football there. That'll be fun to delve into.
Mm-hmm.
But week 2 of the NFL will be upon us faster than you know it. I mean, Thursday night, the Giants taking on the football team. You could not have picked a more terrible game to start with. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, the Giants, not to cut you off, but I mean, Heineke's back for the football team and versus Danny Jones for the Giants. This is not going to be an appealing quarterback battle.
No.
There's, not a whole lot of star power. I mean, you got Saquon Barkley. I mean, that's really it for the Giants. You've got
you had Fitz Magic, but now he's out.
Yeah. Who would you say really is the star for the football team? Like Chase Young on the defense? Like I don't even know.
Chase Young is really your star player, and as for Washington, but it's just a weird 180. You go from having an anticipated Thursday night game with the Bucks and the Cowboys to what is this?
I think the NFL knows this game is not going to be that marketable. Because this is one of those NFL Network exclusive games.
Yeah.
So they're kind of trying to hide this game from the public in a way.
Even then, the Thursday night games don't get
a whole lot of ratings.
It's like unless it's like a big matchup game that happens to be on a Thursday, no one's gonna watch.
Exactly.
Unless it's your team.
Exactly.
Even then, it's still hard to really watch.
Mm-hmm. But Cincinnati goes to Chicago to kick off the noon games on Sunday. And that one will be kind of interesting to see. Cincinnati coming off a win. How do they look? Chicago, what do they fix, This one's going to come down really to the Bears' defense, really.
Yeah.
You have to shut down Cincinnati. If you can't shut down Cincinnati, who are you going to shut down this year?
Khalil Mack was he's your best player on defense. He was really ineffective in that game against the Rams last week. A lot of the players and you can't have blown coverage. You can't do that again. Otherwise, Burrow will rip you to shreds.
Exactly.
Burrow, as long as that offensive line can protect him long enough, Burrow is going to rip Chicago a new one. It just no matter unless they can keep it in a shootout, there's no way. I don't see how Chicago can really do anything.
Exactly.
It's really hard. It's one of those things. It's just really difficult to kind of key on. Do the Bears fix their problems, or do the Bungles, Bengals? I'm sorry, force a habit of calling them by their nickname.
Yeah, they're 1-0. You got to put some respect on their name this week.
Sorry, unless they actually have a winning season, it's really hard to respect them at times. But I will say with the Bengals, either they go back to being mediocrity, or they actually continue this run where they're winning games.
Yep, and then a battle of teams you would not expect to have the record they have at the start of the year, but given the games, undefeated Houston goes to winless Cleveland. That's not something you would expect me to say, but given the matchups, that's going to happen.
I mean, about 4 and 5
4 or
years
5 years ago, you could get away with that, but
now it's like,
yeah. But
but
I mean, this will be an interesting game, seeing how Houston looks again. How does Cleveland respond from such a heartbreaking loss for them? You're at home. If you're Cleveland, I mean, you got to establish the run game again. That
oh
goes
yeah,
without saying. That's going to be their
yeah.
game plan nearly every single time.
Your game plan is to establish Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt as major threats that can just get about 5 or more yards with no issue. Your offensive line continues to push back and hold blocks, and then make sure Baker Mayfield doesn't have to throw the ball for 50 times.
Yeah.
As long as he can give Baker enough time, he'll find an open guy, and they'll easily hit guys open. They should have no issue playing against the Texans. But then again, who knows how the Texans will do? Who knows how their offense will be, and who knows how their defense will be, because they played a bad Jacksonville team. So I can't really say much about that. Whether if Texans are better than how they were last year, or they're gonna get beat by Cleveland. Man, I would still think Cleveland dominates that game.
Exactly. But another good one, the Rams and the Colts, Los Angeles and Indianapolis. A lot of long words there, but
Yeah.
this will be a good one for the Rams, I think. I mean, they looked very good against Chicago. I think they'll look good again today.
Yeah.
Or not today. They might look good today in practice. I don't know, but they'll look good in Indianapolis.
Oh yeah, I fully expect the Rams defense to shut down Carson Wentz in that offense, and I fully expect Stafford to come out and play, I'd say, just as well, and in some cases not better than better than what they did last week. I mean, last week it didn't even look last Sunday. They didn't look like they even tried. That's how bad I think. That's just how good or how bad the Bears were, is they didn't look like they really had to try.
Exactly.
But I fully expect the Rams to go in, and I'd probably hang about 17 on them.
Mm-hmm. Then a very good one with Buffalo at Miami.
Ooh.
So we get an AFC East matchup, AFC East matchup there. And so, I mean, this is going to be another really tough out of the gate for both of these teams. I mean, coming off a bitter, not a very good loss for Buffalo, where you have a game in control the entire first half, and then kind of similar to what Cleveland did. And then Miami coming off a defensive battle with New England, kind of testing you, getting ready for Buffalo.
In some cases, yeah.
In some cases, yeah, you could say that. But, I mean, this will be a really good game. I think this is going to be one of those big games to watch of the week. And
it's going to be, I think, a much better game. I think Buffalo Bills defense still does what they do best. I think Allen bounces back and has Allen and that offense play a lot better than what they did against Steelers. Actually score more than what they did. And I don't really know what to expect from Miami as much, though I know they had a good defensive battle. It's one of those games where it's just like, I'm not really sure, because it's really hard to aim, because obviously I know Patriots did what they could to reload in other aspects. Well, reload kind of had to buy players to at least be relatively good for where they were. I know Mac Jones and Tua played well, but I think my Buffalo will play a lot better, and I expect them to probably win by 10.
And then New England, the Patriots traveling to play the Jets. This one's going to be New England. Just kind of getting that pick out of the way. Patriots are going to win this one. The Jets are still once again going through growing pains. It feels like we've said that too many times, but I mean, that's just kind of how it is up there for the Jets and the Giants as well too. New York sports not always at a good place in the NFL.
Unless you're the Yankees, you're not. Well, Yankees, Rangers, and Islanders, you're really not much there.
Yeah.
I really don't have much to say on that because I agree. My statements agree with you.
Yeah, and then San Francisco, Philadelphia. This will be kind of a fun one. I mean, San Francisco, how do you react to, nearly giving a game away against Detroit, you could say. I mean, you nearly let them right back in it. You can't make that mistake again, obviously.
No,
But Philadelphia, I mean, watch out for the Eagles. They might stun them here. I mean,
maybe.
Hurts looked really good. I mean, something Andrew alluded to Monday. This is just really a young team, and there's a lot of energy with them, and they just seemed like very, just energetic. I guess is the best way to say it.
Talent wise, they were way better than like I don't know what's going on with Atlanta. It just feels like everything is just slowly breaking down. Obviously, they're kind of like in that weird rebuilding aspect, but it's like you can tell one team is just way more talented than the other. Uh, and obviously, just to harp on, Philadelphia young, energetic team wanting to obviously they went out and played really good. Hurts played very well, but I don't expect them to have really much of an easy time with the 49ers. Not going to sit here and say Philadelphia doesn't overall play well, but I think the defense does not let that happen again where they almost choke it away. But I think and Garoppolo still plays well. I don't see 49ers losing this game, but I would not be surprised if Philadelphia just plays well. Might beat them. Who really knows, but I'd say 49ers probably win by a touchdown.
Yeah, then the Raiders and the Steelers, one of those kind of classic battles. I mean, anytime these two get together, it's always a very fun game to watch.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it'll be the same when these two meet again. I mean, this could be a really intriguing game to me.
Yeah.
This is another kind of good one to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Steelers defense looked good. The Raiders offense looked good. Raiders, I mean, you got some things to clean up. Granted, you were playing Baltimore, who's, one of the more electric offenses in the NFL anyway. Holding them to 27 was good. I think they could really kind of do what Buffalo did in that they can just absolutely shut that down. That's going to come down to, what does the Steelers defense do? Do they shut the Raiders down? If they don't, they're going to have a lot of problems.
Yeah, like obviously I expect what I expect is Steelers defense playing fantastically. I expect them to give Derek Carr a lot of problems. Mainly that offense a lot of problems. But obviously I'm not fully confident in Steelers defense. I mean not defense. Making a mistake. The offense. Yeah. Let me correct that. The offense I'm not expecting that much, especially with Big Ben under center. Once again, like last week for week 1, they were that offense was carried by that defense. Like the offense didn't really look like they really had to do anything. A lot of time, I was more impressed with that defense for the Steelers. If Derek Carr can get by that defense for the Steelers, I wouldn't be surprised if Raiders win. I know like some people be like, oh, I think the Steelers are great and all, but it's like unless they're like able to score a fair amount of the time on offense, I don't really see how Steelers can win unless their defense just carries them again.
Yeah.
But I'm probably gonna be going for the upset. I'm gonna pick the Raiders to win.
Okay. And then New Orleans at Carolina. This one's kind of easy. New Orleans I think they're going to roll in this one. Carolina's going to put up a fight for a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the Saints are Carolina's not that good. I'm sorry. No. I'm not sold on them. Yes, you have Christian McCaffrey. That's really about it.
And I know Darnold didn't look like, he was seeing ghosts when he played the Jets, but I don't think Carolina has enough talent to really do anything. I expect Kamara to run the ball well effectively. Jameis Winston, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do that against. I don't think he.
Green Bay.
Yeah, he didn't do that. So hopefully he can keep that up. He finally had a game where he didn't throw an interception.
Mm-hmm. But speaking of teams that will probably throw an interception or two, Denver plays Jacksonville. This will be one of those games that matters a lot for draft positioning, I think.
Yeah,
Not as much in the NFL
yeah,
standings. I
yeah.
think Denver gets the win here.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville's just not that good of a team. I mean, Denver's gonna be 2-0. I think it'll be kind of funny to see them at 2-0.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be
It's
so
one
weird.
where you take a picture. Hey, remember when Denver was as good as Kansas City? Never forget, you know. But moving on to Minnesota and Arizona. Arizona's going to look very good again, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, that entire team just looks so good right now. And
It's like,
Minnesota, not very impressed with them at the moment.
The only way Minnesota even has a shot at winning is if they can outscore. Is obviously that's the whole point of the game, is to outscore the other team. That's the only way they're gonna win, and that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Obviously Kyler Murray and company just roll over him. I don't see that going any other way.
And then Atlanta and Tampa Bay. I think Atlanta will bounce back, but at the end of the day, it won't matter. You're playing the Buccaneers. It really, I mean, when you go up against Tom Brady and all the talent the Buccaneers have, you're not going to, you could score 30 on them, but like the Cowboys showed, you could score 30 on them, but they're probably going to score 31.
Yeah, I fully expect. Obviously, it doesn't help that. I think yesterday or so, Tom Brady did a little trolling on the Falcons by basically referencing the 28-3.
I wonder if they started that game at 28-3 with Atlanta in the lead, would they still win the game?
No. No.
It's just something to think about over the course of watching that game.
But obviously we both expect Tampa to roll them.
Exactly. And then Dallas taking on the LA Chargers. I think this will be a actual pretty fun one to watch.
That's going to be a fun quarterback battle.
This has the potential to be kind of the shootout of the day.
Yeah.
Where, this might be first to 40 wins or something,
Yeah.
first to 41, 42.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, I'm going to go Chargers. I'm going to go bold and say, Chargers at home. I think they get it done. I'm just not sold on the Cowboys defense yet.
Yeah, it's like unless that defense for Dallas can shut down for the most part be able to at least shut down teams, you can't be sold on them. And plus, I expect them to probably give up at least over 24 points, maybe more than that. But I fully expect. I think I'm gonna go with you on this one. I think Chargers are gonna just come out on top. Dak will have a great game. One aspect for Dallas that needs to be fixed is Ezekiel Elliott. They hardly gave him the ball against Tampa, and even then he still didn't really do much. So it's like you're paying this guy a lot of money. Use him. If he's not really going to do anything, why even play him?
Exactly. And that's another thing that I don't there are a lot of things I don't understand with the Cowboys. Number one, how have you not fixed your defense yet? It feels like we've been like, hey, you need to fix this for the last 5 years.
They've been needing to fix it for over a decade.
Yeah, and then, exactly like you said, Ezekiel Elliott. You're just going to pay him that much money just to play, 11 on 10, it feels like.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, this is one of those where it's like, you have a very talented running back. You can use him. Prescott's somewhat mobile. Do some read options or something every once in a while. Slip an RPO in there. Do something.
Nah, Dak, just throw it 50 yards down the field.
Yeah, instead let Prescott throw 50 times a game.
It's like,
which I mean, he can do well, but
Dak played very well against Tampa, but and at the end of the day, it's like you gotta mix up the game, the play on offense, because you can't keep throwing the ball downfield and expect to win games. It doesn't work that way in the NFL. But Chargers, I think, probably win that game probably by 4 or 7.
Yeah, it'll be a one possession game for sure. I think this will be a pretty close one.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that might be pretty close, depending on how well they bounce back. Tennessee heads to Seattle. I think Tennessee will bounce back. I think they'll kind of realize, hey, maybe we should, get it going with the run game. We do have Derrick Henry. He's you know he's good.
Feed that man the ball.
Yeah, give him the ball. I mean,
Feed him that ball.
don't try to force it like you did against Arizona. Seattle will be ready for him, though. I mean, they don't have the defense they used to, obviously, but they've still got that very, very talented offense.
Oh yeah, it's like I like a lot of the points that we pointed out. Just like Seattle, I don't really think needs to do really much of anything besides probably any improvement on that defense is welcomed.
Exactly.
But it's like that offense. There's really nothing for you to really fix there as long as Wilson doesn't decide I'm gonna just not play well. That's the one. That's the one thing you don't hope happens.
Obviously.
But I fully expect Seattle to. I think Seattle will be too much for Tennessee. So I know there was more expectations for Tennessee to keep making the step that they need to make, but I don't see how Tennessee. I don't see. I just don't think Tennessee has enough to really do anything unless Tannehill comes out guns a blazing with Henry running the ball well. I don't see them winning this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think this will be a very close game, kind of like the one we talked about a moment ago. But I think Seattle gets it at the end.
It's like once again, it's like the NFC West is just really good.
It's just too powerful.
It's easily the best division in football.
Yeah, unlike the NFC North, which went all a collective 0-4. So congratulations to the NFC North this week. And then Kansas City at Baltimore, Sunday Night Football. Baltimore will be rocking ready for this one. I don't think it'll matter. I think the Chiefs will do what the Chiefs do.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens having to go to your fourth string running back. I mean, when Lamar Jackson pretty much has to play two positions, he can do it. He clearly showed he can.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to be able to get away with that against the elite teams in the NFL.
No,
Baltimore will put some points up on the board still, but
I think you take away. I think what Chiefs will probably focus on is taking away. If you get Tyrann Mathieu back, I think I probably butchered his last name. I think I've always been butchering it. You get hopefully Frank Clark back because some of your key players did not play against Cleveland. You didn't have your best defensive player, so your second or third best defensive players not playing. When I know Chris Jones caused a lot of havoc in the second half for Cleveland, but if hopefully you're back at full strength against Baltimore and just make Lamar throw it. You take away his running ability, Lamar is going to have some trouble. I mean, yes, he played well against the Raiders, but Raiders don't have that great of a defense versus Kansas City, where Kansas City has multiple players at different areas that can cause you problems. I mean,
I think that is kind of the problem for Kansas City. You look at what Cleveland was able to do. They were able to run all over them for a while.
But like I said, they were missing a few players.
Yes.
Chris Jones is really your only guy up front, and you're able to, obviously the play calling for Cleveland was just really good most of that game.
Yeah.
They were able to, a lot of the plays it seemed like they called were basically where the defense was not at. The defense wasn't there a good portion of the time. Chubb and Kareem had a lot of open field to work with. That's why they were a lot of time able to get first downs and just one and tip. Like you start like 1st and 10, immediately get another first down.
Yeah, and I think Baltimore will have some.
But
I think Baltimore will be able to kind of capitalize on some of that.
But that's why I was saying is that you take away the running ability, which they'll make sure Lamar can't
that's
run.
Always kind of the focal point going up against the Ravens. But
once you take away that, for the most part, make Lamar throw it, which I know Lamar has been a much better passer than when he entered the league by a long shot. But I think obviously the secondary for Chiefs will be tough on him. I still think Chiefs will win the game.
Oh, I still think they will too. It's just I think this will be kind of like what we saw with the Ravens-Raiders game or Baltimore's game last week, where it's going to be competitive, it's going to be tight, but eventually Baltimore's going to get tuckered out and Kansas City's going to prevail in the end.
Yeah, and I don't trust the Ravens defense to really do anything to stop Mahomes. It's just that the Kansas City's offense is too powerful for all even like event like we saw with Cleveland, they eventually just got to the point where Cleveland's defense could not prevent scores. I mean, yes, for granted they were able to hold to a few field goals, but they still couldn't stop some of those touchdowns
Exactly.
in the second half.
Getting to the final game, we're going to talk about the Monday night game, Detroit at Green Bay. This is kind of an interesting one in that, I mean, if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have said Green Bay, no question. But I mean,
Yeah.
granted how bad they looked against New Orleans, this is kind of one of those like I think Green Bay wins, but I mean,
yeah, you're not.
I wouldn't
so
be
sure.
as surprised as I would have been a week ago if Detroit pulls this one off.
Yep.
I mean, I expect to see Green Bay look like Green Bay the Green Bay we all expect them to see and be, but I mean, I really don't know as much. I'm not as confident as I was.
I mean, it was pretty obvious that defense for Green Bay still has almost seen no improvement, and Detroit, I know they had that little tried to make that comeback against the Niners, but Goff can still play if he's able, it can still show occasional that he can play good, though I still don't think he's going to be that great in Detroit most of the season. But I would not be surprised if Detroit keeps it close, but I expect Aaron Rodgers to be Aaron Rodgers again, the one we all know, the MVP caliber quarterback, and I think kill him.
Yeah, I guess we kind of disagree a little bit, and you think it's more kind of a blowout, and I think it's more kind of a tighter game. But
not necessarily blowout, but just make it where it looked like, Green Bay's obviously much better.
Yeah, okay. Well, I believe that is gonna wrap it up. I really cannot talk. I don't know what is happening. I'm like,
You've had a long day.
I have had a long day. I still got more stuff to do tonight, so we got Northwestern volleyballs going on right now. I don't know what the score is. I've not been updated on that, but I know that's going on tonight. Not covering that. Obviously, I'm right here in this room, but always good to see stuff going around campus. And then Thursday, we will be back to recap really what was a wild week of college football and get ready for another fantastic week. And so, can you get an update for us real quick?
Yeah, I'm trying to get some let's see the live stats right now.
Alrighty, but in the meantime, that'll be 5 o'clock Thursday. Well, we hope 5 o'clock. Every time we say 5 o'clock, it feels like something happens, but hopefully 5 o'clock Thursday. I mean, that'll be a fun show, breaking down the top 25, breaking down really what we expect to see for college football this upcoming week. Is going to be fantastic.
Okay, out of the just a bit of an update on the southeastern Northwestern. The Lady Rangers took the first set and are currently down 10-6 in the second set. So they're up 1-0 total.
All right. Well, that's about as good of a note to end on as any with the Rangers ahead. So for Connor Gray, I'm Cade Kennedy, and have a great night, everybody.